So this is the trim on the truck, the blue part and the rust. This is the trim on the patch, and this is the patch that's been trimmed to fit in the opening where it was rotten. So it fits pretty good. That gets pulled right in there tight. And then all I need to do is very carefully stay below this line right here so I can roll the tape and just paint the top half of the box all the way along this line. And then I'm going to put that cover back on, but before I do put it on to a tape, I'm going to put a little bit of wheel bearing grease in here so the moisture will stay off the underside of the patch and the overside of the box here, and it won't rust out like that again. That's so odd for a Ranger. Anyways, carry on. Basically all I need to do is just clean that up a bit right there underneath this thing. When I put that on, that covers quite a bit. So I just have to finish this area right here, and I've already got it tacked on and I got no warps at all, so I'm just going to methodically keep the heat off that and weld that up solid, and then all I have to do is just use some auto body repair material in this area right here, prime it and paint from there up. So that's coming really good. I'm happy with that. So there we go, we got it welded and all ground off, so ready for some Corvette panel adhesive and a little Bondo, some primer, some paint. Here's this Vette panel adhesive that I'm talking about. It's to repair sheet molded compound and fiberglass parts. Basically it glues them together. You can use it to fill, you know, pinholes and stuff like that, and it's very waterproof. So this is the other side, and it's rotten, completely rotten. So I'm going to take the mini grinder, I'm going to cut out the cancer and then go from there. So we'll take the grinder flat wheel out, put the little zip cut in, buzz this out. Another cutoff wheel. Here's the piece I cut out. Cancer. There we go. That's what's missing in there. So put that there for now. I'm going to cut this inner out. Okay, so now that patch that I got, all that rusty crap in there. This one, and I'm going to trim a lot of it because I don't need a lot of it. So I'm going to cut that up, trim that up. Looks like this patch is going to be good. So I will chop this off. Some more rot. Well, I'd rather fix it up here on top of the box than fix the fender lip. And the fender lips in this box are good. Alright, so I'm going to cut this wheel well out here. This wheel well is hurting big time. They just, right where the spot welds are, the moisture and crap, salt brine, and then gets right in there. So I'll bang out another patch. Alright, so that come out of there, is it still attached? Still attached here. Let's give that a buzz. So there we go. You can kind of see where they have the other separate piece of metal spot welded onto the bottom, and there's no caulking in this, even if there is, it doesn't stay there very long if it's in harsh conditions like Ontario's salt brine. So I'm just going to weld a piece of metal in there, and I'll kind of shape it the same shape as this. And she's going to put a box liner in anyways, I think, so it's not really a beauty item, but I'll do my best. There. Ready for some weld. Okay, so this has to be cleaned up like that too, so I can weld to it. So a little bit of rust right there, but I have to live with that because my patch is only so big. Okay, that looks good. So there we go. We got all the 2A tape soaked with some lacquer thinner on a rag and scraped it with a razor blade and re-wiped it. Got it masked up so I won't get any primer overspray on it. And along here I made the tape about 6 layers thick, so if I run over this Bondo here that I'm going to be putting on with a block sander and I just happen to hit where the tape is, I'm not going to damage the paint below it because I just want to blend the paint in there like I said earlier. Alright, so here we go. We'll get some Bondo mixed up here. And we'll put body color on. And this is my technique of how I mix body filler. A lot of guys will use Bondo Born. I just use 2 really good knives, and I try to angle the knife because they all have a little curve. So I kind of angle the knife so that it goes on like a water skier going over the water, and it doesn't dig the corners in. You don't want that because then it leaves a line. So that's a little trick. See, all knives have a little bit of a bend in them. You just got to check them before you use them for applying anything. So I dig a little Bondo on here, scoop her out, do her shot, hardener. Make sure you're dripping here a little bit already. So I don't mind, I don't care. Bondo's cheap. And I'm just gonna knead it on the putty knife like that. It's almost like Ginsu knives when they're chopping up food. There we go. There's a batch. So we'll move this out of the way, and I'll apply a thin skin of Bondo on here with a nice straight knife. The straighter you get your Bondo on, the less sanding you have. So you can get it in there, you can always scrape it out. Usually get it nailed down in about 2, sometimes 3 applications. There's a little bit high spot right there. I'll have to fill a little farther away to build a bridge over it. See that, or you hammer it in. Yeah. Fill the low, lock it up to where you want it. This hole here a little bit. There we go. That's first application. And then I usually just scrape my knives off on one another, get them clean. After a while they get so built up with just residue on top of residue, you got to take the sander over them and resurface them and get rid of all the Bondo. So your application is always an accurate application. Alright, so we'll get rid of this little snotty doogie on the cardboard box, and I think I'm going to mix up another batch. Because by the time I'm done mixing another batch, that will be firmed up. And once you get enough Bondo on there, and you got something to sand, then you can basically sand it all down in one triple application or double application, and you're done. And you prime it. Over it with some fine sandpaper and prime it. This knife is big. This knife is narrow. This is the only one that fits in the can, so you got to use the narrow knife to go into the opening of the Bondo can. Otherwise, you can't get Bondo. And I don't use a lot of hardener. I use a fair amount because I want to. I want it to work for me. I don't want to stand around out for hours, you know, putting Bondo on, waiting for it to cure enough so I can sand it. And then there's kind of like a gum on top of it a little bit, a residue. If you don't put enough hardener in it, it doesn't harden completely all the way through real hard right away. It will eventually. Once you get a Bondo on there, then you can, then your chunk of marble basically is enough material that you can actually carve out the statue of a Ford Ranger. Because you got lots of material to sand. You know, you put Bondo over on top of Bondo like this one that's still kind of green. It gets really good adhesion because it gets that chemical bond. Once you start sanding it, you open up scratches, and the scratches get full of dust. And if you don't get the dust completely wiped off completely before you start applying more Bondo, sometimes it causes pinholes and weird stuff, so you don't want that to happen. So there's our curved knife again. A little more Bondo right here. You can gather some up where you think it's a little heavy. Maybe apply it somewhere else. It's like it's giving me a little working time, but it's starting to harden up a little bit. So I'm getting a few little dry jiggies in here. Alright, so that's that. Now I'll let that harden, and then I can come back with some 80 paper, over it with some 120, over it with some 240, and it's ready to prime. Okay, see the warp. It's high there and it's high there, but it's low there, and that's where the dents were. So that's what I filled. Now we'll go on this plane.
That's my paper.
Okay, some fine paper. I think I might go over it with 240. It feels so good. I don't think I have to do 120. I'm just going to go over 240. And then put a coat of high salts primer on it. So I do a fold down the 11-inch piece, 11-inch direction. And I aim both the sharp edges beside one another. And then I tuck them. And if you have a good hold on your sandpaper, you're stuffed right in there nice and tight. It's not jerking around back and forth like a hacksaw with a loose blade. If that just we'll get my 80 paper.
This is first initial sawing down.
Flat spot. You gotta roll the shape. So here's the new fender. I got to coat a base on it. It's pretty wet, just waiting for it to flash off. Got the furnace on. Dry this out probably in 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Then I got primer on the box sides, and now I'm just putting some base on it. masked inside the box a little bit for overspray and for dust circulation. There's the other side welded in and primed and base coat on it. Here's the spray gun cam. A couple coats on, build them up slowly till it covers nice. And then we'll go give the front fender another coat. Better if I use the hand that I'm used to spraying with. My long little hose. Painter's pet peeve. Hoses grabbing on tires. Get a little bit more air pressure. There, I think that's pretty good. It's well covered on the fender. I think we're gonna, and the color's really good too. It's a good match, so that's great. This is first coat of clear on the box. I'll probably end up putting a couple more coats of clear on it. And then I rolled the tape right at the bottom there. You can see where the tape's kind of rolled there. I'm going to water sand that edge and polish it with a polisher. It doesn't look too bad for a patch job. Here's the other side. Looks nice and shiny. Pretty clean on the box. So another coat of clear over here and that should have her. And there's a coat of clear. It's got a few little nerd knots in the clear, but you know that sands out with 2000 wet paper and polishes out nice. We got some really good expensive clear here, so this here is really nice clear to work with.